Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Let's talk about Paulina and Abe for a minute, because there's a certain part in this scene that I'm baffled by. And I'm baffled by it because I felt like they didn't know which way to go with this character. And I felt like if they would have went too far left, people would have been upset. And so they pulled back a little bit. And this is after Paulina talks about how she had a sex dream about another woman. You know, Abe was like, "Oh, really?" Now, personally, I would have been like, "Really?" So what was it about? But that's just me. But she talks about it, and the conversation turns to her daughter. And in this conversation, she's pretty much kind of waffling between, her asking herself, or Abe asking, does she have a problem with Chanel's sexuality? Now, during that commercial break, I was like, okay, I gotta see where this conversation is gonna go. Because on one hand, well, not on one hand, but one minute she's sitting there telling her daughter that she's totally fine with her sexuality, and the only thing that she's disappointed about is the fact that, Chanel didn't sit there and talk to her about it. So, to go back from that, to be like, okay, so it wasn't about that, it was really about the fact that you had a problem with her sexuality, it's like, okay, so now you just lied to your daughter about that? Now, we all know at this point, or if you've been watching my channel for a while, when it comes towards Days and Chanel, you know how I feel about her. And if you're new, the character's trash. Okay, she is utter, absolute trash. I do not like her at all. And so I will defend her, well, nearly at all. Not at all. Mostly. The one thing that I will defend her about, without hesitation, this is the only time I think I'm going to ever defend her, is about her sexuality. That's the only thing we're going to sit there and defend her about, because at the end of the day, she has to live her life, and whether her mother has a problem with it or not, as far as I'm concerned, her mom can kick rocks. You are who you are, and you shouldn't have to sit there and hide it, and you shouldn't have to feel ashamed about it. So I was sitting there wondering, I was like, do you have a problem with her sexuality? And then she goes through these scenarios where it's like, well, I'm a woman of today or whatever, and I have no problem with, other people and, who they decide to sleep with, but my own daughter. Like, your own daughter, and? Because even Abe was like, so what does that mean? And then she turns the conversation on to Abe. And I'm just like, wait. Even if you turn the conversation on him, and, she asked him, how would, Theo, how would you feel if Theo, decided he wanted to kiss boys? And, he said something along the lines of, oh, I think it'll be fine, but I'll never know until, I deal with that situation. Okay, Paulina, nice deflection, but that doesn't really answer the question. How would you feel? And so she gives the answer of, well, I'm fine with it. I'm just disappointed that she didn't tell me about it. Could have swore we had this conversation before. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that she's telling the truth. I really, really do not think that she's telling the truth. She wouldn't put that amount of effort into going out of her way to ask all these other side questions when Abe confronts her about, do you have a problem with her sexuality? The first thing she should have said was no. Okay? But she didn't. She went on a round the world circle trip and started asking Abe, oh, well, how would you feel? That's not the original question, sweetheart. We're asking you. So yeah, I think that she does have a problem with her sexuality. And she says, when she grew up, in a time period, men like women, and that was it. That's how she was brought up. Abe was like, yeah, unfortunately. But that's the thing, though. I would rather, the thing is, I would rather her be herself and be honest. Because yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people that's not gonna like that. They're gonna sit there and think, oh well, you're wrong because you don't accept your daughter and you don't accept somebody else's sexuality and this, that, and the third. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of flack. I'm not gonna sit there and try to act like I'm not gonna be sitting there looking at her side eye. But at least she's actually being honest. This is the time period you was brought up with. That's how you feel. You can't sit there and change that no matter how much you want to, no matter if she's your daughter or not. You're going to feel how you feel. But don't sit there and fake it. Just sit there and try to, quote unquote, appease your daughter if that's not how you really feel. Because you're not doing her any favors. You're just lying to her face. And I felt like they didn't want to sit there and go that route because they didn't want the backlash. They didn't want to have a character that wasn't okay with someone else's sexuality. We go way back. This is before I started watching. I saw little clips or whatever. I remember Will Smith is saying something about Lucas and how he wasn't accepting of his sexuality when he first came out. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I saw like little clips and bits of it. But see, that was in the 90s. In the 90s, the backlash wouldn't have been as big. Something like that now? Yeah, it would have been. So I just felt like they just was too afraid to actually go there. But then they started kissing, and then I'm not gonna lie, I kind of lost my appetite for a good 20 minutes. So, awesome. Now let's talk about Rafe and Eli for a minute, because I thought that they had a really good conversation. Rafe is to talk about the bear, and Eli's making jokes, and then, it comes out that, it's the bear that him and Nicole share. And Eli says something that, even when he said the other stuff, this one thing was just on point. I gotta sit there and say, Eli, the actor, he's doing his thing between this show and All American. Dude's just doing his thing. But he's like, how would Ava feel knowing that you have an inside joke with another woman? I was like, right there. And he tries to explain it, oh, we're just friends, yada, yada, yada. And at first he tried to deny his feelings, but then he's like, yeah, I feel something for her. But he doesn't want to act on it because, Eric is gone. Eric is the love of her life, even though he's been gone for about, a year now? So he's like, I can't really do anything, and, Eli's like, the first thing you need to do is get rid of that bear. Because all the bear is a symbol, of his, attraction. And it's funny, too, because, Rafe was like, oh, yeah, I was having a dream of, I was having dreams of her, and Newton was like, oh, you're having sex dreams now. Okay. Like, no, I'm having daydreams about her, too. Bro, you are so not helping your case, but okay, sure. I think Eli was spot on, like, yo, listen, you need to sit there and figure it out, because this whole thing, you're inviting trouble. Well, first you say you're inviting trouble because of Ava, her long rap sheet, her blood being in the mob, and all the past stuff that she's did. But, the point is, I think the dude really needs to, figure it out. Because Ava comes over, and Ava's like, hey, listen, I invited Nicole to dinner. And Eli just I laughed too, but he's like, yeah, that's great. Now, of course, Nicole, I don't know if she still has feelings for him, but, when Ava invited Nicole, to their dinner, she was like, yo, three's a crowd. Like, nah, I'm good. Whatever. But Ava didn't let go, and she agreed, so, whatever. She also found out some intel about, Sammy, as far as Lucas being really upset, being jealous, and, you know, Nicole's there thinking, you know what, maybe Xander's onto something, you know, as far as them hooking up or whatever. But, you know, her thing is to find more proof and get her to back off. So now she's starting to think like, yo, maybe she's up to something. And Lucas is there telling Sammy, yo, back off, because if you keep pushing, she's going to sit there and have a reason to sit there and try to find out. You know, like she's going to sit there and want to try to find out about us. So if you let this go, she'll let it go. Sammy and Nicole talk to each other, and Sammy's like, hey, listen, I'm going to drop the whole thing. You know, you didn't cheat, you know, you didn't have sex with Xander. My bad. You know what? I'm just going to let it go. Of course, when Nicole left, you know, Lucas like, doesn't that feel better? And Sammy's like, no, I'm going to sit there and nail that SOB to the wall or whatever. And of course, Nicole says the same thing when she walks out with Henry. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? Both of y'all are trash for this, because y'all both sitting there. Granted, Nicole, you're trying to come after Sammy because she's trying to come after you. So, okay, fine, whatever, you're defending yourself. But Sammy, you're sitting there calling her all sorts of names, and Lucas is like, you know, you did actually cheat on your husband as well. I guess we're just going to pretend that didn't happen, right, Sammy? You want to get to her so badly that you don't even realize how much of a hypocrite you are. Okay, sweetheart, you know what, fine. And of course she, you know, they're talking about Kristen, how, you know, Sammy handled Kristen or whatever as far as EJ's concerned, and, you know, Kristen's going to be too busy on the run, and yada, 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 to really sit there and focus on us, or sit there and tell on us. I didn't know that Susan was EJ's mother. I guess the father must have been British, or, like, UK, and he lived in the UK. I don't know. But Kristen is in a quote-unquote undisclosed location, and she pretty much just wrote a letter outing Sammy, because Kristen was like, yeah, you try to out me, so now it's fair play. I'm just going to sit there and do it back to you. So she has all the time in the world, and she's like, you know what? Yeah. And this is after she's on the tablet reading about EJ, and she's like, yep, dear brother, you have no idea what the missus have been up to. But don't worry, I'm going to sit there and fill you in a letter. I'm kind of just like, well, I guess that makes sense. If you try to call them, they can trace it or whatever. So, I'm just sitting there thinking, I guess this is more of a game, because she could have found a burner phone, called up Sammy, called up EJ, like, hey, listen, just to let you know, your wife is cheating with you on Lucas. But, you know, she wants to play the game or whatever. So, I guess we're going to do that. And, I guess we're going to totally forget about, what's her name? Sarah being on an island or somewhere. They're not going to remember that story. We're not going to get back to that. That's whatever. Just recast the damn character. Whatever. Now let's get to this whole Jake. Jake was outed by Kate. Okay? Kate was like, yep, I want him out of the company. Now Jake is just, I don't know, having a temper tantrum at this point. I'm not going to call it a meltdown. I'm going to call it a temper tantrum. He's yelling, he's screaming, he's like, Kate, please don't do this. What are you talking about? You're supposed to be on my side, yada, yada, yada. And he's like yelling and screaming and everything like that. At this point, Shane's like, well, even if you did try to talk to her, it's not going to change anything. You got to go. You got to go, like, now. Like 5 minutes ago. And Jake is like, alright, so let me just get my stuff. No, you can't do that. I want your badge. You're not going to get your stuff. We're just going to mail it to you. He can't go in his office to get his own stuff? Really? Is that how companies work? You can't go back in your office to, like, I don't know, pick up pictures and I don't know what else you would actually keep in an office. A mug. I'm looking at the screen. A mug, a laptop, something? No? Okay, cool. So he is fuming. He is pissed off. But, you know, I'm not going to lie. I just... Listen, it sucks that, you know, he lost the company. But there's a couple of reasons why I'm just really starting not to feel bad for him. because when he gets to Kate, when he gets to Damaris' house, Damaris mansion, he talks to Kate, and Kate's like, well, I would have voted for you, but Gabby was all like, oh, well, I'm just your obligation, and I'm not going to be any man's obligation. So you lost the company to her, because of her. But you can fix that, though. If you go away with me, and you never talk to Gabby ever again. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, this is a no-brainer. You shouldn't have to see if you shouldn't even have to think about this. You should just sit there and say, nope, because I'm in love with Gabby, and that's just how it is. It should be a no-brainer. This man was literally sitting there thinking about, do I want the company, or do I want Gabby? Just because it took so damn long. So I'm sitting there thinking, bro, this is the reason why I'm just... Granted, yeah, he did choose Gabby. Don't know why he waited so long to do that, but he's all angry. I was like, bro, you act like you worked your entire life. You studied, you took business classes, you ran a company for a while. Bro, you was there for like a hot 4 months? 5? Maybe? You act like you were in love with this company. Like you were just thriving in it. Bro, I don't even know if you knew what you were doing. I mean, you asked Kate, you asked Abigail to sit there and write you a letter. You had no idea what you were doing in this company, and you wouldn't have gotten as far as you did if it wasn't for Kate. Now you're mad that people that are, I don't know, actually more qualified than you to handle the company is going to be handling the company. I mean, this guy literally sitting there acting like, well, I guess I better, start looking for a new job in a new place because I'm not going to have any, I don't know, money or anything. I mean, my last name isn't DeMero. It's not like I'm not going to still have money, but sure, I'm going to be mad and act like I'm going to be kicked out on the streets. That's the attitude that he had. And that's why I was like, bro, it's like being mad at a toy that you found that wasn't even yours. And then you're mad that somebody else came back to pick it up. No, this is my toy. That's how he was acting. And so, yeah, he did actually wind up choosing Gabby. And he was like, yeah, I've been in love with her the whole time. And he just explains everything about why he was with her as long as he was. And then Kate was like, oh, just to let you know, I've been faking like I was blind. Kate, you're acting really smug about this whole I got revenge on Jake. And okay, fine. If you were around his age and you did that, fine. Fair play, all that good stuff. You can literally be either his mother or his grandmother. His mother. You can be his mother. So, the fact that you are stooping down this low to sit there and get revenge on a man, it's like, come on, seriously? I guess if you did that to Roman, y'all are the same age. This guy is literally, well, I don't know how many years younger than you, but you're acting like you really got one over him. I mean, no, you're not an obligation, but you're just as petty as somebody that's among his age range. So, like, you're not really looking that much better. Just really saying that, like, for real. But yeah, she was all like, I fake being blind. That's not making you look better. Okay? If anything, it just makes you look worse. Okay. Alright. Now, when Jake leaves, and everyone's leaving, you got Chad and EJ and Tony just laughing it up. They're smiling, they're hugging each other. This man Chad ran through that room like he just won the marathon. I mean, these guys are literally celebrating. And when Jake was sitting there leaving, he was like, "Oh, this is supposed to be family." EJ was like, "Well, you're not truly family unless one of us stabs you in the back." That's awesome. That's great. But yeah, they were happy. They were celebrating. And then it came down to, well, who's going to run the company? And they both was like, they're going at each other's throats. And Tony's like, yo, listen, we didn't sit there and have this bromance for like a good 5 minutes if we're just going to sit there and tear into each other. So they worked on the compromise by Tony. And Tony was like, yo, listen, y'all both going to sit there and be co-CEOs. And Shin was like, fine. Chad and EJ shook. But they had that look like, yeah, we're just doing it because he's here. The minute he's gone, they just had that look. So, It should be interesting. Again, this is one of those things where it's like, every time EJ's in the room, it's just a great time. And it's so funny, too, because, you know, a lot of people sit there and look at, like, Chad, well, EJ, like, oh, he's a dick or whatever. It's like, yo, listen, he's just an amped up version of Chad. Except for, to be honest, he's much more entertaining to sit there and watch. So, yeah, but yeah, they both decided on being co-CEOs until one of them overthrows the other one. I mean, and they were, like, literally going at each other's throats. So, this should be interesting. Anyway, I'm just glad that Jake chose Gabby over the company, because she was really laying out her plan, and this dude really seemed like he was begging her. He was like, yo, you gotta sit there and tell him, to change your mind, that you change your mind, you gotta do it, you gotta help me out, because this is the dream job that I never knew I wanted, and was never qualified for it. Like, okay, bro. And when she laid out her plan, and Gabby just stood there, like, she just stood there, she was like, yep, okay, and she said something. I was like, bro, this is the time for you to man up. You're, your time is running down. You might want to do something. You are going to do something, right? And he actually did it, so I was like, okay, Jake, great. I mean, I don't feel bad. It kind of sucks, because I do like his character sometimes, but I don't feel bad that he lost the company. At all. I mean, yeah, it sucks to lose the company, but it sucks as a loss for Jake, and I'll say that much. But, bro, that whole acting like a 12-year-old that, you know, a toy that you just found got, you know, taken back from you. Like, really? And Kate is just, I mean, Chad was right. Yo, grow up. Or just act more of your age. Stop stooping down to other people's level. That's, I don't know, twice as younger than you. To sit there and plan some sort of revenge. Because at the end of the day, she's the one that looked like an absolute fool. Because they're still going to be together. And now, well, anyway, with that being said, I think that's about it. If I missed something, please write it down in the comment section below. I want to thank everyone for watching. I know this came out super late, but I really do appreciate it. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.